Welcome everyone to Cosmo's Pridecast. I'm your host, Kyrie Galvan, and today I have Hailey Heitmeyer, who has been in Cosmos shows such as our interactive show, otherwise known as Scream. I know Love Story, and then how are you doing?
I'm doing really good, actually. I've been home for like a week and a half now, which has been nice. And I have a new job. I work at a smoothie cafe. And I'm in a musical this summer. I'm doing Grease. I'm playing Cha-Cha, which is fun.
Wow, that's really fun. So what do you identify as based on gender and sexual orientation?
I am cisgender female, and I am omnisexual.
What has your journey in theater been, and how has your queer identity impacted that, if at all?
I first got into theater when I saw Wicked on the West End when I was living in England because my dad was in the Air Force. So I was like third grade maybe. And literally I can still picture the stage just because I was like, oh my gosh, this is theater and this is what I want to do. And the dragon breathed green fire. It was awesome. That was like the starting point. And I've been in theater ever since, basically. I did theater lessons, and then I did theater in school, and then most recently I've been doing community theater at Circle Arts Theater. When I got out of middle school, I was brought into their high school troupe, which was called The Inner Circle. I have a tattoo for it. So yeah, and that was a cool traveling troupe. We'd bring theater to elementary school, so it was a lot of children's theater. Now I'm a theater education major at Texas State. As for my identity, I don't really know if there was ever a light bulb moment or anything. This is gonna be really cliche, but it was during COVID when I was like, oh man, girls. I found the term omnisexual because a friend sent me a TikTok of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. Because for the longest time, I was like, well, maybe I'm bi, but that seems a little bit, that's too narrow. And so then I was playing around with pansexual, but I was like, that doesn't fit right, because pansexual and omnisexual are very similar. It's attraction to basically anybody, but pansexual has specific gender blindness. But for me, I still have preferences. I mean, you can be whoever you want to be, and I'd still enjoy your company. But I just omnisexual, that term fits me better,
What is your creative process like? Whether that's for acting, directing, or, movement?
Well, for acting, I don't know. I just kind of play around with it, I guess. Specifically for Love Story, that was my first time ever assistant directing and properly choreographing anything. And it was a lot of brain vomit. Tony could back me up on this. It was just a lot of, what if we did this or this or this or this? So yeah, lots of brain vomit. For Love Story, because it was a cabaret, I could look at other videos of other performances of those songs. So I took some inspiration from those. It was a lot of just trying different things and seeing what fit better with music or what fit better for the actors. Especially, I had so many ideas before we even had the cast list prepared, and then once we actually got into rehearsals, I was like, you can't balance for that long. That's okay, let's just change it a little bit. So a lot of trial and error, I would say.
What are your biggest influences as a creator/storyteller?
I think it's just having fun and being curious about what you're making. You can always come up with a silly little backstory that isn't necessarily canon, but you could make it for yourself and just have fun and explore with that. I was an understudy for the Moors with JTLT last semester, and that was a pretty serious story in some parts, but I think it's still important to have curiosity of, what can I make this into rather than just reading from the script? For me, theater is a celebration. It could be a very sad celebration, but it's celebrating different perspectives. And there was a show that I saw, but I don't remember what it was. But there was one specific character that I saw myself in, and it was just being able to be oh wow, that's me, and somebody wrote that, and I can really connect to this art, So I think being able to find connection and playing around with whatever it is you're acting or creating or even watching, I think that's really important.
Do you have any specific pieces or people? I know that you said Wicked. So is there anything else other than that has I guess inspired you in a way?
I this is very theater kid of me. I love watching Star Kid like on YouTube. I love that, and just how like they some of them went on to be professional actors and everything. Like Darren Criss has been in TV shows and movies. But every time I watch one of their plays, they're just having fun. They're just a bunch of friends hanging out, making stuff up. And I think that's just a really good thing to bring into rehearsals. I love Star Kid. Love Star Kid. Oh, specifically for Love Story, there was one Instagram couple that I took a lot of inspiration from for specific movements, like in First Date Last Night, in Therapy. They're, what is it? I think they're the Carberries on Instagram. They just do like specific movements. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from them. They were constantly on my Instagram feed.
Yeah, well, shout out to them.
Yeah, you guys rock.
In what ways do you think your identity like influences the work that you do?
I don't know. I feel like, honestly, I've really struggled with like accepting that I am queer, because I can present very straight and I am in a straight presenting relationship. And so sometimes I have to tell myself like, you're gay, Hailey. It's okay. You can connect with this story. You can tell this story. Yeah, I'm still in a stage of like accepting and being comfortable with presenting that to the world and all in my work or whatever. Yeah, I'm working a lot on my inner queerness, if that's a thing.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
As we mentioned before, you worked on the interactive show and Love Story. Mm-hmm. And with those, I think we talked a little bit about it, but could you talk more about the challenges that you went through as a creative and like how you overcame them?
I've never done a show quite like Scream, and you were an amazing director for that. I loved it.
Thank you.
I really appreciated. I think it was so much fun to figure out how to bring like this scary story and make it interactive, like with throwing the glitter or like having one-on-one interviews with the audience mid-show. I think it was just a lot of fun to figure things out and like problem solve. And then as for Love Story, oh my gosh, I did like 8 dances or something, and I had to make sure that the choreography wasn't repetitive, that there wasn't the exact same thing in every single song, and like figuring out, oh my gosh, at the very end, the last song, the big finale, in Someone in the Crowd, I miscounted how many people were in the cast, and so I gave people partners, and then at the very end I'm like, hey, why don't you have a partner? And the actor said, oh, you didn't give me one. And I was like, okay, guess I'm in the last 30 seconds of the finale.
Yeah, well, it definitely paid off because the choreography for Love Story was immaculate. It was really good.
Thank you.
Is there a project that Cosmo has put on that wasn't your own that was particularly eye-catching for you?
Definitely The Author. Oh, I wanted to go see it again, but I wasn't able to. I only saw it once, but it was such like a compelling story, and I think Jess is just an amazing writer. Like the characters and the situations and just the emotions, they felt so real. And honestly, I really hope it can be like published, or we can figure out how to get rights worked out for that show, because it was really amazing to see. Yeah, I hope that show, The Author, can be put out to the world.
Okay, so as you know, Cosmo's motto is make your own yes. So what do you think that means to you, to make your own yes?
Because it's all student work, I feel like it is creating the opportunity for you to say, yes, I'm going to act in this, or yes, I'm going to direct this, yes, I'm going to write this, rather than thinking, oh, I'm just a student, nobody's going to take it seriously. I'm going to make my own yes, and I'm going to go do it. So now that I'm thinking about it, I like that.
This is not just Cosmo, but for the theater experience, the theater you've experienced thus far. Oh, okay, there we go. Do you feel represented? And if not, then go ahead and explain.
I think I do. Like I said earlier, I'm still like trying to accept myself and say like, it's okay, you can connect with this story. And I'm super excited for She Kills Monsters, which is going to be one of the main stage shows, because the lovely stage manager of Love Story, Karina, is playing one of the leads in it, and I'm super excited for that. I think I just need to be telling myself, like, hey, this is a story for you. This is a story about your community. I do think we need more queer stories written, acted, directed about queer community in like mainstream media. But yeah, I think there is a good amount, but there's no reason that we can say this is enough. You know, there can always be more of whatever, music, movies, stories, whatever. There can always be more of it. We shouldn't put a limit on how much queerness is in the media that we enjoy.
All right. So last question. And I'm sorry if this is too personal or too serious for the matter, but I would really appreciate it if you would let us know what your favorite pair of earrings that you own is.
Oh my gosh. I was gonna wear them today. They're my giant cartoon bananas. They're like this big. I was hoping you would ask me a question about my earrings. I'm wearing my seashells today.
They're really pretty. Okay, so that's all we have for Pridecast today. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I loved it. Do you have any parting words for us as we move on?
Be unapologetically you. Yeah, be unapologetically you. You should never have to be sorry for who you are because you're an amazing person. And like, there's no set of rules to be a human. Just go ahead and do it. Just be yourself.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, well, thank you again so much.
Of course.
This has been Pridecast, a show by Cosmo to highlight the best and brightest of our troupe. Thank you for listening. Make your own yes and slay hard.